I was thinking, that on so 9th of September, what was that, 4 or 5 days ago, is the anniversary of the murder of the priest who baptized me, Father Alexander Min. So he was a when I went there in 1990, I was an atheist, and then I think I've told you this before, and had this amazing sort of, it sounds over dramatic. I saw icons in the bedroom I was staying in, and just sort of thought. And my first thought was, not all good is visible. And I wrote that down in my little diary, my little pretentious sort of studenty diary. I went, not all good. And I've looked at that since and thought, gosh, I was on my path, on my little way there then. Yeah. And then I met Father Alexander. He's the first Christian martyr in Russia. So when he was murdered by an axe. So he was on his way to give the Sunday service, and sorry, I've forgotten the correct word for it, but Sunday service at his church at Novaya Derevnya. So like not that far from Moscow, and somebody apparently asked him this is what they think happened. Asked him the time, and then the second perpetrator, whacked him over the head with a sapper's spade. Just like a sort of axe, isn't it? Sort of army thing. Yeah. And he was so bloodied and battered that he crawled back to his garden gate, and his wife didn't recognise him from the top, right at the top of the house, because she looked and she just saw this kind of what looked like a homeless person covered in blood. He then died at the gate, and fast forward to, he was the man that baptized me. So I was baptized in April 1990. He was murdered in September 1990, and then he's been canonized. But he's incredible. So if you look him up, he's very well, he sort of, during the 70s, when Orthodox priests weren't allowed to, they only usually went to old people, old ladies, that was their thing. They weren't allowed to talk to students and children and whatever. And Father Alexander, that was his, so if you think about the fact that it was atheism was everywhere, under Stalin and then subsequently, Father Alexander introduced this idea that you go around, you spread the message of Christ and redemption to whoever you meet. So he would, there were little prayer groups that were set up in the 80s. So after sort of perestroika, in people's flats. And I was thinking about solutions to where we are now, and thinking, I really like the idea that we disengage as much as we can from the evil. I mean, we call it the Matrix, but I mean, yeah. I don't know, the blob. The evil blob. And we sort of create, and I've said this before actually, but I've been a bit sort of, this was a couple of years ago, I was a bit poo-pooed on some, Twitter, when they do the Twitter things where everyone talks. Yeah, and I said, yeah, we need a kind of parallel society, like the catacombs. Yes. Where we all meet, like we do at festivals, we all meet, and it's lovely, and people are there and they exchange views, and they're sort of, there. But that's what we need. We can't plug back in to what's been. It's too late. It's like a dog going back to its own sick. I never understand this idea that we can trust anybody who was part of that, because there's something new coming. I think it's exciting.